Welcome guys, the new sniper rifle that's been added to PUBG Mobile can be exclusively found on Vikendi and Erangel. So in this video I'm going to compare its performance to the Kar98 to find out which one's better. But first, make sure you leave a like so the algorithm grants you pro PUBG Mobile skills. Let's begin. After testing it for a few games, I've noticed that the Mosin Nagant feels more powerful than the Kar98 in direct combat. The reason for this is because it supposedly has an increased bullet velocity, which makes it a much more accurate rifle. Damage analysis. Here you can see that the Mosin is likely superior to the Kar98 in terms of theoretical damage, but if we compare the number of shots it takes to eliminate an opponent, its practical performance is exactly the same. This means that you will not feel differences in the damage that one generates compared to the other, regardless of whether the Mosin theoretically generates more damage. Bullet velocity. We're going to test the bullet speed of each rifle in comparison to the Mini 14. The Mini 14 has a bullet velocity of 1000 meters per second, but between the Mosin and the Kar98, the one that comes closest is the Mosin with a slight lead of 21 meters per second, thus matching the M24. This difference can be seen primarily at long distances, but it's to be expected that the most noticeable effect it'll have on will be the bullet drop. So let's test this. Here you can see that at this distance, the difference in bullet drop is noticeable, and it can mean the difference between missing a shot or eliminating an opponent. However, at closer distances this advantage of the Mosin Nagant is not as important. Damage at range. In the update notes, it is mentioned that there is less damage loss at long ranges than the Mosin Nagant. So since we don't have any data on this, we're going to run a test to see if there is a practical difference in the number of shots needed at optimal bolt action rifle ranges. As you can see, the number of shots needed to take down an opponent with this setup is exactly the same as in close range in the case of the Mosin, but with the Kar98 you need an extra shot to eliminate your opponent. Rifle length test. It's been mentioned that the Mosin has a longer barrel than the Kar98, and yes, as you can see here, it is true. This can let your opponents know where you are, especially if you have a suppressor. But I wouldn't worry about that. Rather, the long barrel presents a disadvantage when aiming behind cover as your scope is more likely to lock up for this reason, although the difference is not huge. Aim comparison. The time it takes to aim the 8x scope with a bolt action rifle is often important because you always have to aim after loading a bullet if you want to keep shooting. Let's compare this. Aiming time is slightly faster on the Mosin, but this advantage is not worth much as its scope is misaligned. This can be a problem when quickly focusing your reticle at a target, since the correction distance will be a bigger problem. But the misaligned distance is consistent, so you can easily get used to correcting it. Sound range test. In this test, we're going to compare the sound range of the Mosin and the Kar98 with and without a suppressor. Conventional range indicates the maximum distance at which the sound of the shot exceeds the sound of your footsteps, and the maximum range indicates the total distance that the shot can be heard at. Let's begin. The conventional range of the Mosin is 125 meters, but the sound of the Kar98 will always overcome the sound of your footsteps. However, they have the same maximum range, so there is no difference in the total distance that they can be heard at. Now, let's listen with the suppressor. The suppressor on the two weapons limits the range of the noise to 270 meters away, but the conventional range of the Mosin is 75 meters while that of the Kar98 is 150 meters. This means that the Mosin is a quieter weapon which will help reduce the chances of being detected when firing. Reload comparison. We will start by comparing the reload time without the bullet loops. The Mosin reloads slightly faster with a difference of only 16 milliseconds. The bullet loops should improve reload time. There is no difference between the two rifles with bullet loops, but this is the improvement that this attachment provides to each rifle. Bolt cycle comparison. Surprisingly, the Kar98 is capable of firing more often than the Mosin. The average difference is of 88 milliseconds. This will allow you to take more shots in less time, which is critical in intense fights. So which weapon is better? Bolt-action sniper rifles are primarily made to perform in direct combat at medium range. A direct confrontation consists of combat with an opponent between cover, and both know of each other's position. What matters most in that situation is precision and power, qualities that we can find in a bolt-action sniper rifle. So, between the Kar98 and the Mosin Nagant, the one that most aligns itself to be a better sniper rifle is the Mosin. If used with its optimal attachments, its performance and its direct combat focus range will outperform a Kar98. The Mosin Nagant is a very interesting rifle that fulfills specific functions optimized for direct combat. If you can get used to correcting the focus of its misaligned sight, you will be an incredibly effective sniper.